Hi there, my name is Robin and welcome to this new tutorial where I'll walk you through MailChimp's dashboard and most used features. So I'm just going to walk you through the most important features of MailChimp here inside the dashboard, and we're going to start at the top over here with audience. So what is audience? So in other words for MailChimp's audience is email list basically. So other email marketing tools call audience an email list. So in a nutshell, with MailChimp's free plan, you are limited to one audience, so one email list, but that is probably all you need. So the only instance when you would create multiple lists or multiple audiences is when you, for example, have a company where you have an email list for your customers, so your potential customers, for example, and also have a list for your internal communication. So some businesses use MailChimp to send newsletters to their employees as well. So in that instance, you do want to create two different lists because you don't obviously want to have an employee in the same list as a potential customer because you would interact with those two people differently. But in most cases, you probably only need one list. So if we click on audience over here at the top left corner, and then we go to all contacts. So over here we can see the contacts that are in this list, or audience as MailChimp calls it. So this is the name of the audience, and if you want to change that name, you can go to settings over here and then audience name and defaults, and over here you can change the audience name. So a more appropriate name would be, for example, the Creator Rack newsletter, or for example, San Diego's hair salon newsletter. So if you have a hair salon based in San Diego, if that's the name of your hair salon. And if you change the audience name, you can just scroll down here and you can click on Save Audience and Campaign Defaults. And now the list is changed to this audience name. So as you can see now, this is the newsletter's name. And just to give you another quick example, so let's say you visit multiple events throughout the year and you collect contacts from those events. So, and you want to add those contacts to your MailChimp account, so to your MailChimp list. In that case, you should not create multiple audiences for all the events you're visiting. So in that case, if you want to import new contacts to your MailChimp account, so let's say we're gonna do that. So we're gonna click on audience over here and then manage audience, and then we're gonna click on import contacts. So over here we have three options. We can import from another servers, or we can upload a file, so a CSV file, for example, or we can copy and paste the email addresses. I'm just gonna give you a quick example over here. If we would have collected some contacts from an event, and instead of creating different audiences, we're just gonna add a tag to that specific contact so we know that that contact came from event X. So I'm gonna click on copy and paste. If you have a CSV file, you can just copy and paste all the different rows and columns of the CSV file and paste them inside this field. In this example, I'm just gonna add one email address just to give you an example of what I mean by adding a tag to that specific contact. So I'm gonna click on continue to organize, and over here it says continue to tag. So I'm gonna click on that button over here, and now we can create a new tag, or we can use an existing tag. So in this case, I'm gonna add a new tag. So I'm gonna say event X. So I'm gonna click on this one, create event X. And now we created a new tag, and I'm gonna say continue to match. Finalize the import. So one contact was in this import, right? Because there was only one email address. So this is correct. I'm gonna click on finalize import, and I'm gonna click on complete the import. I'm gonna click on view imported contacts. And now, as you can see, this contact is added to our list or to our audience. And if we scroll to the right side over here, we can see that this tag is added to this specific contact, so event X. So just as a quick summary now, so I just showed you what an audience is and that you only need one audience basically. And I just showed you how to import new contacts to your MailChimp account and how you could add a tag to that specific contact. How can we use the tag? So let's say we want to create a newsletter. So that is what we're going to do right now. And we're going to use this tag to segment our audience. So if we want to create a newsletter, we can do that in numerous ways. So we can either click on this button over here, on the create button, or we can go to campaigns and then create campaign. So there's two different ways to go to the newsletter tab. So in this case, I'm just going to click on create to create a new newsletter. So after we click on create, we have three options. We can create a regular email, a landing page, and an embedded form. So In this case, we want to create a newsletter, so we're going to click on regular email and we're going to click on design email. So the first thing you should do is name your newsletter so you can easily find that newsletter later on. So in this case, I'm just going to call it newsletter 1. This is only for internal use, so your subscribers will not see this name. So I'm going to click on save. So over here, if we click on edit recipients, we can choose to who we want to send this newsletter to. So for example, here you can select a segment or tag. So let's say I want to send a newsletter to only the people that are tagged with event X. So as I mentioned earlier, so this is the way you can segment your newsletter and send only a newsletter to the people that have that event X tag. So in this case, I'm going to click on save. Here you can edit the subject line. So I'm just going to call it the test. And here we can design the email. So I'm going to click on design email. So now we can select a template for our newsletter. So if you're on the free plan, you have limited templates to choose from. But if you're on the pay plan, you have more templates. You have all the templates. So you have themes over here. So you can select some designer templates, or you can use the layouts over here. So in this case, I'm gonna choose this one, for example. I'm gonna click on it. And now we can change the design of the email. So over here, we can change the logo. We can change the text over here. So if we click this pencil icon over here, we can just change the text over here. So change the text. You can change it to whatever you want. And I suggest you just play around with it. For example, if you want to add a button over here, you can just click on it and drag it onto the template over here. And now you have a button. You can change the colors and all that great stuff. So I'm not going into all the nitty-gritty of how to create a newsletter with MailChimp in this video. So if you want to check out my full tutorial on how to create a newsletter with MailChimp, down below in the description. So I'm going to click on continue now. So whenever you're ready with designing your newsletter, I suggest you send a test email. So you can click here on send a test email, and here you can add your email address and send a test email. So I definitely urge you to do that. Send a test email to check all the links and reread the email, check it on your phone to make sure everything works as it should. And once you're ready with the email, you're going to click on send. So in this case, I'm going to click on finish later. So again, if you want to revisit that email you just created, you're going to click on campaigns, all campaigns. You're going to scroll down a little bit, and here you see the latest campaign you created. So this is the newsletter, and this might be a little bit confusing in the first moment, because in this overview you also have the newsletters you created, but you also have the landing pages you created and the automations you created. So everything, like they all call it campaigns inside MailChimp. So that might be a little bit confusing. But if you only want to see the emails, like the newsletters, you're going to click on emails over here. And now you see only the emails. So only the newsletters you created. If you want to see the automations, you're going to click on that one. If you want to see the landing pages and so forth, you can click on those things. To quickly summarize what we just did, I showed you what an audience is, that you only need one audience. I showed you how to import new contacts, how you can tag new contacts, and how you can segment those contacts inside a newsletter, so you can only send a newsletter to that specific contact you tagged with a specific tag. So the next step for you is to create something where people can sign up for your newsletters themselves, right? Because we obviously do not want to import all the time new contacts. It would be nice if they can sign up themselves for our newsletter. So for this, you can use sign-up forms to let people sign up for your newsletter. So to create a sign-up form with MailChimp, you're going to click on audience over here, and we're going to scroll down, and here we see sign-up forms. So with MailChimp, you can create 3 different forms. So we have the embedded forms over here, we have the pop-up forms, so the subscriber pop-up, and we have the form builder, so the regular forms. So let's have a look at the subscriber pop-up form. So if we click select here, so this is the pop-up form over here, so you can tweak everything you see over here. You can change the fonts, you can change the colors, you can change the content, obviously you can add an image, and this pop-up form, you will add this pop-up form to your website. So over here, if you click on edit, you can add the pop-up to one of those websites or multiple websites. So if we go to settings over here you can change the trigger. It can either be immediately, after 5 seconds, 20 seconds, when someone scrolls to the middle of the page, to the end of the page, or on exit. So if the mouse hovers over to the exit of the page, and then the pop-up will trigger. So this is the pop-up form, and just to make sure you understand this, you can only create one pop-up form inside your MailChimp account. It doesn't matter whether you're on the paid plan or not, you can only create one pop-up form. So that is a little bit of a drawback of using MailChimp, that you can only create one pop-up form. So I'm gonna click on exit over here. And again, if you need more details on how to create these forms and what to do with them, please check out the video down below in the description where I show you a tutorial of how to use the forms inside your business. So I'm going to go back to sign up forms, so audience and then sign up forms, and we're going to have a look at the embedded forms. So over here you can create an embed form, but note that you are limited to the styling of this form. As you can see, I cannot change, for example, the background color. I cannot change the content of this button. I cannot change it to something else. Then it says subscribe. I cannot change the color of this button. So we are limited to what we can do for styling on this specific form. Also, if you want to know more about all the limits and all the pros and cons of using MailChimp, please check my review. This is the review I wrote. I published it on my website, creatorrack.com. I also link it down below in the description. So if you skim this review, you get a better understanding of what you can do with MailChimp and what you cannot do with MailChimp. So if you're ready with your embed form, you can click on continue, and now you can copy this code. So if you click this button, you copy this code, and you can just paste that code into your website, and now that form will be displayed. I'm going to click on the MailChimp icon over here to access the form builder. So using the forms is one way to collect new email subscribers. Another way is to create a landing page. So let's say if you only have social media, for example, then I suggest you use a landing page for that. So you're going to click on create, and then we're going to click on build landing page. So over here we have 7 templates to choose from, and we can edit and we can tweak the templates a little bit. So we can tweak the design, so we can change the font, we can change the content, we can change the imagery. So I'm just going to select one template over here. So building the template works pretty similar to building a newsletter. It also works with the drag and drop builder. So inside the landing page, we have this sign up form block over here. So that is to collect email addresses, obviously. So I'm going to drag it and paste it onto the templates, and now I have this sign up form over here. I can tweak it to whatever I want. So here I can style the content of this sign up form, which is obviously far better than the embedded form where I cannot style the content. So once you're ready with your landing page, you're going to click on save and close. As you can see, we need to add a page title to our landing page. I'm going to just call it test, and we're going to click on publish. So now our landing page is live, and if we visit this URL, we can see the landing page. So now you can link to this landing page inside your social media pages. You can also add a custom URL. So instead of using this random default URL of MailChimp, you can add a custom URL as well, but then you need to buy one of those premium package of MailChimp. Again, check out the review I posted on my website where I share all that stuff that you know exactly what you're getting into when you sign up for MailChimp. So then lastly, we have automated emails. So the automations tab over here, I'm going to click on that. So there are numerous examples of why and how you can use automated emails. So the most straightforward example is to use a simple automated welcome email. So for example, let's say you have a hair salon and your customer signs up for your newsletter. So maybe you want to send an email to the person that just entered your newsletter, telling them what they can expect from the newsletter. So what you now see is the customer journeys. The customer journeys is basically another name for automation, so automated emails. But the thing is, the customer journey is only available in the paid plan. So if you're on a free plan and still want to use an automation, you need to switch to the classic automations over here. So I'm going to click on this. And as I said before, if you're looking for a tutorial on how to use the customer journeys, please check out the link below for the video on that. So here are some examples, but you can also create a custom one. So I'm going to click on a custom, and I'm just going to call this one automated one test. It doesn't really matter. This is for internal use, this name. I'm going to click on begin. So if you click on design email, you can create the email you want to send, but we first need to edit the trigger. So when do we want this email to be sent? So I'm going to click on edit over here, and over here it says a subscriber is manually added to the workflow. So that is obviously not what we want, because this is an automated workflow, right? So we're going to change the trigger. So here we can select a new trigger. So here we have audience management. I'm going to click on that. And here it says sign up. So a person subscribes to email marketing for San Diego's hair salon newsletter. So that is our list, right? Every time a new person signs up for our email list, this specific workflow or automation will be triggered, so will be activated. So I'm going to click on this one. And now you can select a delay. So when do you want this trigger to be activated? So if someone joins the email list, will this be triggered after 1 day, after 1 hour, after 1 week, or numerous weeks, or immediately? So I'm going to say immediately. I also want this to trigger when subscribers are imported. So if I import a subscriber manually like we did before, I also want this workflow to be activated. So that is a choice you want to make. So I'm going to enable this setting over here. I'm going to update the trigger. So after you're done creating the email, you're going to click on next and you're going to activate this automation. Note that you cannot add more emails to this sequence because you are on the free plan and MailChimp only allows you to create one email, so one automation email. There is a workaround though, so that you can create multiple automations email inside the free plan. Check out that video down below in the description where I go into more depth on how to do that. So I'm going to click on exit over here. I'm going to exit without starting. So that's all I got to say for this video. If you need more help, please check out the description down below where I will link to more in-depth MailChimp tutorials. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching and consider subscribing if you want to see me again. Also, like the video if you enjoyed it. Thank you very much and until next time. Bye-bye.